Time, oh time, please won't you tell all the stories you know so well. Time, oh time, please won't you say the stories of yesterday right now. Time, oh time, oh time, oh time. Time, oh time. Time, oh time, please won't you tell all the stories you know so Voices crying in the wilderness, come at you, come at you. Voices crying in the wilderness, come at you, my people. Voices crying in the wilderness. Voices crying in the wilderness. Hey, we are the Lord. Everybody the people down. Everybody will be exalted. And the crooked will be made straight. That day. Time, oh time, please won't you tell me all the stories you know so well. Time, oh time, please won't you say the stories of yesterday right now. Time, oh time, oh time, oh time. Time, oh time. Time, oh time, please won't you
By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down. Yea, we wept when we remembered Zion. We hung our harps upon the willows in the midst thereof. For there they that carried us away required of us a song. They that carried us captive required of us mirth, saying, sing unto us one of the songs of Zion. How shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? The land of the beast, oh, the land of man. Revelation 18:1, the rising of the sun, glories throughout the land. How long shall we serve man? wars throughout the land. How long shall we serve man? No longer this land. Jerusalem, oh Father, deliver us out of Babylon, where we stand, waiting for deliverance. We shall return out of this land. By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down. Yea, we wept when we remembered Zion. We hung our harps upon the willows in the midst thereof. For there they that carried us away required of us a song. They that carried us captive required of us mirth, saying, sing unto us one of the songs of Zion. How shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? The land of the beast, oh, the land of man. How shall we sing? Welcome back, everybody, to another live session with Joel. Today we're not going to be talking about the book of Joel, though. We're going to be talking about the book of Jonah. Let me just get my seat all worked here, and we're going to start right away. We're going to start right away because, honestly, today was a really busy day. I was at the cave for the morning. Then I went down for the rally. Every week there's a rally. And when you get back from these rallies, you know, you walk around downtown. And I'm kind of losing my voice here. But, you know, it's all worth it. It's all worth it. And connected with a whole bunch of new people. That's what it's all about. And literally, like, things are really starting to come together. Things that I wouldn't even have dreamed possible or even imagined. Like, a whole bunch of new doors have opened just this very week. So, like I said, in my reasoning sessions, like, we are actually crossing the threshold this very week. Like, the energy is completely blown things wide open. And of course, in the physical, like, don't look to the media, guys. I gotta preface it this way. Don't look to the media to actually tell you these things that are going on behind the scenes. Some of it might trickle out, and if you are, you know, on other platforms like Telegram, check out my Telegram. I don't have the link in the description on the live sessions, but in my other videos, I'm starting to put the Telegram link in there, so you can check that out. I post mostly inspirational stuff there, but man, like, there's a whole bunch of stuff coming up in the political, and not just the political, but other stuff as well, that is literally showing that darkness is scrambling. Here, I turned to the book of Joel. We're doing Jonah today, so I'm going to do my best to actually go through the whole book and give you a synopsis of what really is the underlying meaning of what the book is actually saying. Some of the deeper aspects that a lot of people might not realize, or they gloss over, or they think that it seems inconsequential. So I'm just gonna put this up on the screen in a bit. But yeah, like I was saying, the energy has just shifted. Things are coming together, like collaborating with people about doing certain things that are almost like uh, countering the mainstream narrative in such a way where we're already building the new world. We're already building this new world. Like it's happening. It's happening, guys. I'm stoked. I'm stoked, man. And I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to be on the front lines. That, you know what? It's like that vision I had that I shared in my last my last vision update was about a week ago. I get visions all the time, but I'm just not at liberty to share all of them. That's the thing. Otherwise, I'd be making those videos pretty much every week as well. The video that I shared last week, though, with the vision, it was like there were people we were the army advancing against, the kingdom of darkness, basically, and we took control of this building. And when we went into this building, we realized that there were people kept in the innermost chambers of this building that once we got there, they were learning what we had to say. They were on board. They were ready and willing to fight. And they were doing all they could to pick up their weapons at that time. But it took us to be on the leading edge to break into that building and get them out. They were more than willing to join the ranks. But for whatever reason, they just couldn't do it because, they were inside the building. Physically, this plays out to whether, they're coerced into maintaining their jobs. Or, even it's just the paradigm. Like, do I choose this or do I choose my livelihood? So it's all kind of like set up in a way to keep people in that system. It was like when I was working at IKEA, they would give us the schedules 3 weeks in advance. So you literally manifested those next 3 weeks around your schedule. It's kind of like that. That framework just holds people down. It's kind of like shackles, but they were more than willing to fight. So, like, you might not be seeing this in your personal life, but if you actually just take some time and gauge the energies, gauge the doors that are being opened from a higher perspective, tap into that heart space and look at it outside of your ego, you're going to realize that this is happening even in your own life, even if, you have commitments to your 9 to 5 or whatever it is, I'm not judging anybody here. But this video is not about that. This video is about Jonah. So let's bring the text up on the screen here. And like I said, I'm just going to go through the whole thing as kind of briefly as I can. Yeah, there we go. That's better. Gotta get it, because sometimes I lean, sometimes, I'm a one-man show and I'm anything but professional. I just tell it raw the way it is, But yeah, great day. I'm just so stoked because, hanging out with those lions, hanging out with those lions all day just makes you a lion. And I got the Lion King ring. I got the Lion King ring because that's the lion of the tribe of Judah. Man, there's a whole other reasoning sesh. Judah coming up in like the next 3 weeks because I literally have over 3 weeks worth of reasoning sessions to get out. But intro aside, let's get right into the text. So Jonah is one of the minor prophets. There's 12 minor prophets in the Hebrew scriptures. The reason why it's called minor is because their books aren't as big as the major prophets. Major prophets being in English, Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel. In Hebrew, it's Ishaiah, Yirmiah, and Ezekiel. But Jonah, or Jonah in English, is one of these 12 minor prophets. Now, the minor prophets generally, all except for Jonah actually, deliver oracles. And it's all like, thus says Yahweh. This is what happens. And it's very poetic. But Jonah is almost like a storybook. it's like it almost feels like that, once upon a time this happened and then this happened. It's more like narrating a story. There is Oracle, and he does pronounce a prophecy in the book. We'll get to that, but it's very brief, and it's almost like leaves you scratching your head when you really get down and analyze what came out of that, as opposed to the other prophets, minor and major. Jonah stands out as a really odd kind of fitting, but he's a prophet, and we're going to see that he was in the land of Israel at the time. As far as I know, well, we won't get into all the politics of that time in the land of Israel, but we will talk about the Assyrians and why we were singing the Rivers of Babylon song. Ties in because of the Assyrians. The Assyrians fell to the Babylonians, and then the Babylonians, of course, took the captivity of Yehuda captive. And yeah, that's when they sang that song, when they were captive along the shores of the Euphrates River. But let's just begin with the text. I'm done giving my intro here. Okay. Now, the word of Yahweh came unto Jonah, the son of Amittai, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry against it, for their wickedness is come up before me. Now, I've talked about Yahweh in previous videos, and that's like the isness. There's a whole other topic why Lord is written in all caps, and that has to do with legal fictionese, or legalese, whatever you want to call it. But that is awareness, and that is I am, that I am. It is isness, actually, the existing one, the self-existing one, who outside of time, space, exists and causes, or through which is caused, all physicality in space and time to therefore exist as a shadow of that cause. I know that was a mouthful, but that's basically it. And that covenant of what was, who was, and who is, what is, and who will be, what will be. All of that cycle of isness comes closed circle on the judgment. What you put out is what you get back. It's a reciprocal thing. So he's saying in Nineveh, the capital city of Assyria, let me just fix my ring light here. The capital city of Assyria, he says that their wickedness has come up before me, which means that man, they've sown the seeds of wickedness. They got to reap a harvest. And Jonah, who was a prophet from the land of Israel, was told to tell them. He was like, go tell them. Now, Jonah, verse 3, it says but in Hebrew it's just and. It's in contradiction to what he was told to do. Rose up to flee unto Tarshish from the presence of Yahweh, and went down to Joppa, and he found a ship going to Tarshish. So he paid the fare thereof, and went down into it to go with them unto Tarshish from the presence of Yahweh. Tarshish, basically, there are several places that could be called Tarshish, but most likely this was the one that was in, actually Iberia, the Spanish peninsula. I got them mixed up. In Spain and the Iberian Peninsula. So it's basically in the other direction as far as you can go across the Mediterranean away from Assyria, which was to the northeast of Israel at the time. Okay, so he tried to flee, it says, from the presence of Yahweh. And again, Yahweh is that cycle. What you put out is what you get back. You know? Judgment, judgment, judgment. That's basically what it's talking about. But Yahweh sent out a great wind into the sea, and there was a mighty tempest in the sea, so that the ship was like to be broken. Now, Nineveh sowed seeds, and their harvest was coming up, but the messenger had to deliver the message in order for that harvest to come to pass. It says in Amos that Yahweh will do nothing except that he revealed it first by his prophets. But Jonah was the prophet, and he knew what he was doing. So as soon as he planted his seed, his harvest came, and that was this great wind. But that itself was the harvest coming to fruition. It wasn't the fruit just yet. We'll see the fruit in a bit. Then the mariners were afraid and cried every man unto his god, and cast forth the wares that were in the ship into the sea, to lighten it of them. But Jonah was gone down into the sides of the ship, and he lay and was fast asleep. So yeah, it's panicking because the ship was, like it says, it's like to be broken, tossed on the sea. So the shipmaster came to him and said unto him, What means you, O sleeper? Arise, call upon your God, if so be that God will think upon us that we perish not. So they're calling out to their each person is understanding source in a different definition, and that comes through their images and their ideas. Each person has this idea. Oh, the god of for example, the god of money. In India, it's very common. India has so many gods, like gods for everything, and even many gods for the same thing, depending on how you think about things. It's basically the same thing. You have gods for money. You have gods for health. You have gods for strength. You have gods, like all of this kind of stuff. Each person has different images, or each image represents source in a different way, but limits source to a specific definition. So then, after this, they said everyone to his fellow, Come and let us cast lots, that we may know for whose cause this evil is upon us. So they cast lots, and the lot fell upon Jonah. So this basically it's divination, but it always shows up when you're seeking source, that something will show up. And even if you're limited by physical means, those physical means will guide you, depending on, well, that depends, but it still will lead you in this direction. And Jonah came up because Jonah had sinned, or sinned is the word, but what it means is to come into contrast with the perfection, right? There's a difference of potential of the state of being that source has called us to embody. That's what it basically means. Then said they unto him, Tell us, we pray you, for whose cause this evil is upon us? What is your occupation? And where do you come from? I'm paraphrasing here so that it's a bit easier to understand, but I'm reading the same version that's on the screen. Where do you come from? What is your country? And of what people are you? So they're saying, who are you? Why is this happening? What's going on here? Why is this happening? What are you running from? What's your story? And he said unto them, I am a Hebrew, Hivrit in Hebrew, and I fear Yahweh, the God of heaven, which has made the sea and the dry land. So Yahweh, right away, they understand, oh, Yahweh, it literally means isness, he who is, or he who continues to be. It's a declension of the verb to be, but in the personification, embodying that state of being. So sometimes it's translated he who is, or he who continues on in existence. It's just a nuance of the language which we don't have in English, but it can be understood through our English paradigm even still. Okay, so but they figured this out, and they said, Then the men were exceedingly afraid, and said unto him, Why have you done this? For the men knew that he fled from the presence of Yahweh, because he told them. So he told them that part too. Then said they unto him, What shall we do unto you, that the sea may be calm unto us? For the sea wrought and was tempestuous. And he said unto them, Take me up and cast me forth into the sea, so shall the sea be calm unto you. For I know that for my sake this great tempest is upon you. So he knew that he was the seed that had caused this harvest. So he said, if you cause crop failure, then this harvest is just going to go and you won't have to suffer. Many times we sow seeds and we think, oh, that harvest is just going to come upon us. But there are other people involved in reaping that harvest. And, of course, it's because they're on that same energetic level. They've planted seeds to harmonize with that kind of harvest. But at the same time, they don't deserve the outcome of that harvest. It's a very strange way that the universe is set up to bring judgment on people all at once. all at once, even though people sow different seeds at different times. Everybody's individuals, but harvest comes for people all at once, like an earthquake or a tsunami, right? In this case, it's the storm at sea. So he tells them, throw me overboard and everything's going to be okay. Nevertheless, verse 13, the men rowed hard to bring it to the land, the ship, but they could not, for the sea wrought and was tempestuous against them. Wherefore they cried unto Yahweh. So all these guys cried out to that cycle of justice. And they said, we beseech you, Yahweh, we beseech you, let us not perish for this man's life, and lay not upon us innocent blood. For you, O Yahweh, have done as it pleased you. So they're saying, yeah, Yahweh is punishing, or the punishment has come because of the seeds that are sown on this guy. Yahweh is the judgment. But if we kill innocent blood, then the judgment will come on us. So they're saying we're cut from this judgment that we're killing him, but we just have to take care of, causing the crop failure on our harvest that will destroy us as well. So they're proclaiming this disclaimer basically to free them from that kind of harvest. So they took up Jonah and cast him forth into the sea, and the sea ceased from her raging. Like, obviously, what he did was the seed, and that's it. That's it. It killed that harvest basically. Then the men feared Yahweh exceedingly and offered a sacrifice unto Yahweh and made vows. So they understood that this was the cause, and they acknowledged it. They acknowledged it. But Jonah was a prophet of Yahweh from the land of Israel, from the children of Israel, and yet, he was doing the opposite. These people didn't even know Yahweh. They didn't have the temple. They didn't have the covenant sacrifices. They didn't have this, writings of the Torah and of the Psalms and all of this stuff. They didn't have that. But yet they still feared Yahweh. They still acknowledged that this was what was going on. Now Yahweh, after all this, had prepared a great fish to swallow up Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. Now, a lot of people looking over this document, the book of Jonah, say, well, there's no way a big fish or a whale could swallow Jonah, or a whale, because his throat is too small and this and that. Well, it's very specific when it says great fish, because I can't bring this up on the screen. I wish I had time to segue into this, but I'm just covering the main parts of this book really briefly here. Look up a whale shark. Look up a whale shark, and it's called a whale shark, but it's actually a really big fish, and it's just where people want to doubt things, they have these ideas already set up in their minds, but when you really look into it, it's like nothing contradicts. You just haven't done your own research. You haven't dug deep enough, because it's like an infinite well here. Okay, now Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. Could he survive 3 days and 3 nights? Well, we're going to see in the next chapter. And I'm just going to breeze over this because there's so much here that I could get into. But like I said, the main points of this story is basically the nature of Yahweh. That's kind of what is getting exposed in this book. So, I wanted to, it's a great book, and this was one of the first books that I actually translated when I started doing the Hebrew and really getting really deep into that. I translated this book, and it's beautiful, and there's stuff hidden in the original language, but it's just like people reading it and not really wanting to know the nuances of what's really there. It's almost amazing. It's almost amazing. If that's an understatement is what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying it's less than amazing. I'm just saying it's almost amazing because it transcends amazingness in the way it's also a different language, and when it describes certain things, it's like, the Chinese word for like car or the Chinese word for computer, it's not the same as in English, but they use different words to describe the same thing. I won't get into that, guys. Sorry. Stick to the text. Yeah. This is the nature of my mind, but let's go on. Then Jonah prayed unto Yahweh his God out of the fish's belly, and said, I cried by reason of my affliction unto Yahweh, and he heard me. Out of the belly of hell cried I, and you heard my voice. Let's just make sure that this is exactly what I want. This is the word Sheol, which basically implies that he died, and he was having a near-death or out-of-body experience. It basically implies that. I won't get into that because there's a lot I want to cover. Because he cried in his affliction. It literally took him to be brought down to the lowest point to actually acknowledge, what he was running from. Moving on, though, for you have cast me into the deep, in the midst of the seas, and the floods compassed me about. All your billows and your waves passed over me. Of course, the water is symbolic of the emotions, and when you're troubled by emotions, it also happens to us because we forsake that alignment with source, and then our emotions or the wind and the waves, like in the story of Peter walking on the water, the wind and the waves get to him, and then he starts to sink. But Jesus is walking on the water, which completely means that he was above it all, and it was calm under his feet. It was like steady water, right? Water, like I just got a bottle of water here, but water which doesn't have any it's like water has volume, but it doesn't have shape. It conforms to the shape of the vessel, but in this case the vessel was the commander. And when you command your emotions through this awareness that's tapped in, that's how it's subject to you rather than you being subject to it. In Jonah's case, all of them passed over him. Then I said, I am cast out of your sight, yet I will look again toward your holy temple. He had a goal, and he said, that was the direction they prayed to. And this, of course, was carried into the Arabic tradition, which was changed, but originally they all prayed facing Jerusalem anyway. The waters compass me about, even to the soul. There he's talking about that emotional inundation. The depth closed me round about. The weeds were wrapped about my head. That's also symbolic, but it also, there's so much here. I went down to the bottoms of the mountains. The mountains? I thought he was in the water. Well, like I said, symbolic. The earth with her bars was about me forever. This refers to the pillars, the foundations of the earth. Man, I could really get into this. This is basically an oracle, but it's a prayer of Jonah. Some like Habakkuk and some of these other minor prophets do have prayers like this in their books, but a lot of it is literally the words of Yahweh saying this will happen. Bars about, but I don't have time to get into the Hebrew cosmology in this episode. But let's see, actually, if I do have anything quick that I could share with you guys, just to show kind of an image of where this is coming from. I know I have it somewhere on the computer, but I just don't know if I can find it right quick. If I can't find it, I'm just going to carry on. Man, that's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. Ooh. I'm not finding it here. Oh, wait. Do I have it? Yeah, well, let's just continue keeping on reading. And, is this it? Oh, no, that's not it. What's the timeline? Let me actually do this. I'm going to bring it up here. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So I got, oh man, hold on. Yeah, okay. Let's just work with this here. Screen 2. So as you can see here, we have pillars of heaven. These mountains at the edge of the earth hold up the dome, and you have the firmament and all of this. So in the underworld, these are all waters and such, and these are pillars of the earth which actually hold it up within the primeval ocean. All right. So that's that. So that's kind of an idea of what we're looking at here. When my soul, yet have you brought up my life from corruption, O Yahweh my God. So he was like literally sunk to the lowest part of not only his own ego, but also the lowest part of the physical universe. Okay? In the depths of Sheol, which, let's see here. This is what Sheol is, the underworld. All right? Now, when my soul fainted within me, I remembered Yahweh, and my prayer came in unto you into your holy temple. Oh, yeah, okay, good. They that observe lying vanities forsake their own mercy. So whoever's looking to, like, vanities, and vanities lie because they give you a false sense of what's coming or a false sense of security, but they actually cause you to completely lose sight of that mercy, that deliverance that can come to you when you trust, in a divine system of justice. And it causes you to forsake that. But I will sacrifice unto you with the voice of my of thanksgiving. Again, he had this goal, and that goal was like a vision that was propelling him towards, getting out of this situation. It's like it says in the Song of Songs, draw me and we will run after you. So when that direction is pulling you, you literally just run towards that completed state or manifested experience, right? And he's saying, I will look towards your holy temple. I will sacrifice unto you with the voice of thanksgiving. It's hard to be thankful when you're, in all that stomach acid. But anyway, he said, I will pay that what I have vowed. He's saying, I will keep this sacrifice. I will offer the prayers. I will do this thing. I will do it. I vowed it. Salvation is of Yahweh. And in Hebrew, always when you read the word salvation, it's Yeshua. Yeshua, and that, of course, is the name for Yeshua, Jesus. So that's very interesting. When we read that in English, we don't get it because salvation, Jesus, it doesn't sound the same. But literally, that's literally what it means. Salvation, Yeshua. It's declined, of course. If you really want to talk about it, it's Yeshurata. Yeshurata. So it's in the noun form, but it literally means Yeshua is of or for Yahweh, unto Yahweh, like unto it belongs to, and it's from, therefore it's from. So that's what it's saying. And Yahweh spoke unto the fish, and it vomited out Jonah upon the dry land. So Jonah literally was brought to the very lowest point of his state of being. Literally to the lowest point of his state of being. And he had to realize that he was nothing. He had to realize that he was nothing but puke. He was nothing but puke. You know what I mean? But let's see what he does now, after realizing that. So the word of Yahweh came unto Jonah the second time, saying, Arise, go unto Nineveh, that great city, and preach unto it the preaching that I bid you. So now Yahweh is not saying, oh, their sin has come up and proclaim against. He's saying, I'm going to tell you something. Just go there. Just go there. Just Right? So Jonah arose and went unto Nineveh. Okay, now this time he's doing according to the word of Yahweh. Now Nineveh was an exceeding great city of 3 days' journey, meaning if you're traveling through the city, it took you 3 days to get from one end to the other. And Jonah began to enter into the city a day's journey. So after a day of going into the city, then he cried and said, Yet 40 days and Nineveh shall be overthrown. This is Jonah's prophecy. And that's it. That's it. This is the prophecy that Jonah gave, and it's not even a full verse. And it says, Yet 40 days and Nineveh shall be overthrown. No stipulations, no, it will be overthrown if, and if not, then okay, fine. None of that. Yet 40 days and Nineveh shall be overthrown. Okay? So let's see what happened. So the people of Nineveh believed Elohim and proclaimed a fast and put on sackcloth from the greatest of them even to the least of them. So the people are like, whoa, this is a message. And yeah, we've been kind of corrupt. Kind of. Well, you know what I mean? And so they're like, yeah, you know what? We got to change. We got to get right with Source. We got to, not continue on doing all this nonsense. And they were like, Assyria was a very oppressive empire. If you read through the books of like Second Kings, you'll see just what Assyria did to the northern kingdom of Israel, which was actually even Judah. For some time, they just oppressed them in such a way with taxes, and they kept invading and sieging cities and all this kind of stuff when they didn't pay up. And then kings were corrupted because of the pressure, partly because of the pressure from the Assyrian overlords. But they were already corrupt, which kind of opened the doors for them to be oppressed in the first place. Like I say, when I read this book, it's all about the seeds sown that are being harvested. So if someone's in a tough place, it's because they kind of put themselves there. They've sown those causal seeds, the energetic seeds that made those seeds, that made that harvest come against them. Okay? But the people of Nineveh, they hear this message, and Jonah's not even one of them. He's, coming from a foreign land. But they hear the message and they really take it to heart. For word came unto the king of Nineveh, the Assyrian king, and he rose from his throne, and he laid his robe from him and covered him with sackcloth and sat in ashes. And that's like, you're devastated. You're just like, I don't want anything to do with anything. Sackcloth was literally made out of hair. So it was like very, very rough, like woven hair. And ashes, because you're sitting in the, it's not just dust, it's the ashes. You're like, there's a whole other symbolism of why ashes. And that had to do with the sacrifices and all that kind of stuff. But you're sitting in that ash. And you just want to be surrounded with that, whatever's left of this. Because, yeah, the smoke of the sacrifice went up, and whatever was left behind wasn't good enough for the gods, kind of thing. Basically, I won't get into that, though. And he caused it to be proclaimed and published throughout Nineveh by the decree of the king and his nobles, saying, Let neither man nor beast, herd nor flock taste anything. Let them not feed nor drink water. So he's saying everybody, like, don't take any chances. Like even your herds, your flocks, your everything. Just, we're not taking chances because we know that this message is true. We know that we've really crossed the line. We really screwed up this time, guys. But let man and beast be covered with sackcloth and cry mightily unto Elohim. Yea, let them turn everyone from his evil way and from the violence that is in their hand. Now, I just want to point out something here also. When it says Elohim, that see, it's not just the Hebrews that call Elohim Elohim, but they understood that they're different Elohe, Allah. Those are individual ideas and still kind of concretized definitions of Elohim, which is all-encompassing. Literally, you can translate Elohim as source. It's not a good literal translation, but that's what it means. The source of all, and the source of all, male and female, infinite in number. You know, the perfection of the realm of idios. That's basically what Elohim means. But Eloh is a Hebrew word meaning like individual deities, an unindividual deity. Sorry, Eloh, and of course that's where the word Allah comes from. I won't get into that, but Allah. But in Hebrew, when people defined God in certain ways, they would sometimes use the word Baal. So you had different Baalim, which is plural. But it's just a Hebrew nuance, which Baal literally means Lord, and Baal is not found anywhere in the book of Jonah. But okay, the main god of, or the definition of the Assyrian god was Ashur. Ashur, which literally, you know what? I'm gonna bring this up on the screen, just because I can. And let's see, yeah, let's just use, I'll just show you guys the image here. This guy here. Actually, I can just go like this. Yeah, this guy right here. So you can see he's like a guy. He also has the crown and typical beard from that type around that area of the world, around the Mesopotamian. And he's riding the disc of the sun with wings, and he has an arch. He always has a bow. That's the way they personified Ashur. Sorry, Ashur. That's where they get the name Assyria from. So that's a bit of background, but they called out to their definition of source. Okay, understanding that it's all embodied in different levels. But Jonah is coming from one that's not defined physically, and he's saying it's defined as judgment, justice. Not so much judgment. Judgment comes when you transgress the normal justice. But it just embodies justice. That's basically it. You know, you do good, you get good. You do bad, you get bad. But you're sowing seeds, and if you're sowing good seeds in fear, like Job did, you're going to reap something that's more deserving of that fear harvest. Even though Job did everything right, he was fearful. Anyway, sorry guys, tangents galore when I do all this, because like literally I could just I could cross-reference so much right now, but like I said, stick to topic. We got 10-15 minutes left, so yeah, who can tell if Elohim will turn and repent and turn away from his fierce anger, that we perish not? I actually want to reference the Oracle of Zephaniah, where he says, you know, I've destroyed nations and I called them. I actually will do this. Yes, source. I will do this. So he says, I've cut off nations, their towers are desolate. This is from the Oracle of Zephaniah. I made their streets waste, that none passes by. Their cities are destroyed. No man, there is none inhabitant. I said, Yahweh speaking, surely you will fear me. You will receive instruction. Okay, but howsoever I punished them, but they rose early and corrupted all their doings. Then he says, because you're not changing your ways, my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them mine indignation. So he's going to take care of things once and for all. That's the nature of Yahweh. So he gives you a chance. And I'm going to get to that actually right here. Because, you know, actually let's do that too. I didn't plan on cross-referencing anything. But this is exactly what it is. Let's just read from this text. This is the book of Nahum. Okay, Nahum, if you're from the south. Sorry, guys. Nahum, and it says the burden of Nineveh. Now, Nahum came after Jonah, and this was like a sequel to Nineveh. And it says, Elohim is jealous. Yahweh revenges. Yahweh revenges and is furious. Yahweh will take vengeance on his adversaries, and he reserves wrath for his enemies. Pretty serious stuff. But then it goes on to say Yahweh is slow to anger, meaning, even in our present day, we're looking and we're saying, well, these guys are getting away with so much in the world. Where's justice? Yeah. They're still got a chance. They still got a chance because Yahweh gives them time. He's great in power, but he will not at all acquit the wicked. Okay? This is part 2. And, while these guys in Jonah's generation reassessed and, took the right path, the sequel wasn't so pretty because they fell back into their old habits afterwards. And if you read, I won't read it here, but if you read the Oracle of Nahum, it's decimated. There's chariots riding through the streets, just trampling people and all kinds of stuff. The end of Assyria was very, very bloody. Let's just say it that way. So after these people turned in Jonah's generation, it says Elohim saw their works, that they turned from their evil way, and Elohim repented. In Hebrew, it doesn't mean that he's like, oh, I'm sorry I ever said this. It just means he sighed. He relieved that of himself, of that burden to carry out that judgment of the evil that he said that he would do unto them, and he did it not. The Hebrew word for this is Nahum. Yinachem. Yinachem means he sighed. Or let's just bring that up so I'm not making stuff up. To be comforted. When you're comforted, you breathe a sigh of relief. If you go down to the actual dictionary down here, to pant and to groan. Can you guys see that? Yeah, you kind of can. Yeah, it's all good. To pant and to groan. So it's that relief that comes when you're sighing and you're heaving and you're, and by extension, it means to be very heavy and to be mournful. But originally, the word just means to sigh a breath of relief. So that's what happened. Yahweh's like, whew, guys, you made it. Okay, I release this. I release you guys from the wrath. Okay? But it displeased Jonah exceedingly, and he was very angry. Now, you would think Jonah would be happy for these people. But first off, they were the enemies of the nation of Israel. But look at what he said. He was very angry. He was really ticked off. And he prayed unto Yahweh and said, I pray you, Yahweh. Oh, was not this my saying when I was yet in my country? Didn't I know this would happen? Didn't I know that you would let them go? That they would change their ways, you would let them go and everything would be okay? What is Jonah saying here? He's saying, I wanted them to die. So that's why I didn't tell them in the first place. I wanted this destruction because of all they've done to our people. Yahweh, what's going on? Therefore I fled before unto Tarshish, for I knew that you are a gracious God and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness, and repent. Sigh you of the evil. You sigh. You let it go. You let the evil go. You give these people chances over and over and over again. Eventually they get it, and then the real judgment that they had coming to them, it's just like, either way, source wins, right? When the evil stops being evil and turns to source wins. But if evil never stops and judgment comes, well, source also wins. But Jonah was like, no, I wanted them wiped out. I wanted to watch like Sodom and Gomorrah, fire fall from heaven. And we're going to see that actually. Therefore now, O Yahweh, take, I beseech you, my life from me, for it is better for me to die than to live. He's like, I don't want to go home and face up to, hey, you're the prophet that warned Nineveh and now they're spared? He wanted to be like, yeah, Nineveh fell because, yeah, okay, that's me. That was me. If he went back with that kind of message, it would be okay. But Jonah, Jonah is like I said, he's kind of out of place, but it's a very good. He's still a prophet. He's still a prophet. It makes you realize just how merciful Yahweh is. Then said Yahweh, do you well to be angry? Do you do well to be angry? Paraphrasing, of course. Is it right that you're angry? Jonah doesn't reply. He went out of the city and sat on the east side of the city. And there he made himself a booth and sat under it in the shadow till he might see what would become of the city. He's like, maybe. And Yahweh God, Yahweh Elohim, prepared a gourd and made it come up over Jonah. Like a squash plant, a zucchini maybe. That it might be a shadow over his head to deliver him from his grief. So Jonah was exceeding glad of the gourd. So he's like, hey, I got this tree come up here that's shading me. I can sit and enjoy the fire show. But Elohim prepared a worm when the morning rose the next day, and it smote the gourd that it withered. Now, there's a whole symbolic thing here with the sun. Actually, we'll get to that. The sun, actually on the east side of the city, the gourd, the worm, and then we're going to see the wind from the east as well. Sorry. The wind from the east as well. Also, it's all symbolic, but I won't get into that because we are pretty late on time. And that's going to take also away from the main point I want to drive home here. The symbology, it can be a whole reasoning sesh. Maybe I'll do that one day. But so the worm came up, smote the gourd that it withered, and it came to pass when the sun did arise that Elohim prepared a vehement east wind. So this is not so much Yahweh because he planted seeds of hate, but it's just the nature of source unfolding. So the wind comes. It's up to Jonah what kind of seeds he wants to plant in response to the circumstance. It doesn't matter what the circumstance is, but how do you address it? What's your state of being in relationship to that circumstance? Those are the seeds that Jonah's sowing. And we're going to see what kind of seeds he's sowing in this situation in a bit here. Elohim provided a vehement east wind, and the sun beat upon the head of Jonah that he fainted and wished in himself to die, and said, again, it is better for me to die than to live. That's the seed he's sowing. That's the seed he sows. And Elohim said to Jonah, do you do well to be angry for the gourd? And Jonah said, I do well to be angry even unto death. He's like, man, I'm going to die for this zucchini. So you can see just how egotistical he is in facing up with this thing. He's sitting up there, like I said, wishing a Sodom and Gomorrah kind of thing. But Yahweh's like, I already said no. I already said it's cool. It's cool, right? Then said Yahweh, you have had, hast had, means have had, pity on the gourd, for the which you have not labored, neither made it grow, which came up in a night and perished in a night. So you care so much about this gourd, right? It came up overnight and now it's dead in a night. Oh man, and you want to die for this gourd? He's like, you care so much about this, and should I not spare Nineveh, that great city, wherein are more than 60 or 120,000 persons that cannot discern between their right hand and their left hand, and also much cattle? And it ends there. It ends there. Yahweh is saying, it sounds like it just cuts off, and it's like, what happens to Jonah? What happened? But actually, that's it. That's it. That's Yahweh saying Yahweh. See, it says Elohim, Elohim, but then said Yahweh, the gourd. You care for the gourd, but now in Nineveh, 120,000 people, and they cannot discern between their left and the right hand, meaning they don't have that understanding of Yahweh that the children of Israel were supposed to have had, Moses understood. David understood. Some of the priests understood. But the people couldn't. It says that Moses understood the ways of Yahweh, but the people only saw the works. And then they try and figure out, oh, if I do this, then this will happen. If I do that, then that. But they don't know why. You know, Yeshua, Jesus comes along and says, do unto your neighbor as you would have it done to you. That is the whole of the law. But, you know, for them, they were trying to literally, we got to appease this entity. Okay, and that's the whole thing. That the Ninevites or the Assyrians, they couldn't understand right from left, good from wrong. In Ecclesiastes, it also says, like, it's, you know, we get that symbol of I won't do it, but we get the symbol of, you know, the angel on your right, the devil on your left. That's basically the same thing. It says that in Ecclesiastes. I won't go. But anyway, also much cattle. So even the people aren't able to discern. How much more are the cattle able to discern? You know, why would Source kill cattle? Doesn't make sense. Sorry, guys. My voice. Chanting freedom all afternoon, man. Chanting freedom. Anyway, that's it. So Yahweh is here saying, you know, I really care. I really care. Like, even though they've sown bad seeds, they've done their best to make it right. And that's exactly what's, you know, that's exactly why this whole situation, like I said, things are opening up. For those of us that are manifesting life, light, truth, justice, communities are opening up. Opportunities are coming together like never before. Like never before. And we are literally seeing that now. But the time is still being given to the evil, wicked manipulators, liars, media knights. Because the Source wants things to be rectified. And right now the power is in their hand to rectify things. It won't be that way forever, though. Once this new world is already starting to be created, once it reaches a tipping point, once the new world reaches a tipping point, because the old world has already reached this tipping point, and we crossed that, and now this new world is coming together like never before. And once that reaches a tipping point, in contrast to the world that has been, once there are just ways of working out issues, just ways of buying and selling food and services, you know, outside of Babylon, like we sang in the song, deliver us out of Babylon. Come out of her, my people. It says, Revelation 19. You know, once we get that going, it's literally going to be, Revelation 18. Right? When we're separated from that kind of judgment that's coming on the evil system, and we have a system already moving forward with momentum, there's going to be no time left for those. And it's already happening. It's already happening, guys. I want to share more. The Joel Fernandez show this week is going to be a little bit different, but in future videos, man, we're really going to get this community really on the road. And like I was saying before, one of the first downloads that came to me as I received the real calendar outside of the Gregorian calendar, like, you know, is completely off. When I received that, at the same time I received the idea that we have to step up as artists, and not just, you know, painters and sculptors and that kind of stuff. I'm saying, like, what are our talents? You know, what are our real talents, or our even our hobbies, right? How can we implement that into a community setting? And then when we build a community based on that skill set, that is the real currency. And we will see that it's happening. It's happening. People are coming together. Today I met like 5 5, 6, half a dozen people say, maybe even more, but for sure, half a dozen people to just get something going. And that just happened today. On Wednesday, 2 other people had other ideas. And today it's like 3 other organizations that I'm now involved working with to get this ball rolling. 3 other organizations that are just on board with this. Only source can line that up. And that's Yahweh. Because of all the seeds that I've sown. And I'm grateful that, my 9 to 5 was taken from me. Because at the time I was like, what is this? What am I going to do now? But the seeds that I've sown since then, amazing. So, guys, tap in. Do your part. Know that Yahweh, you got this. We got this. We got this. We got this. We got this. So receive that abundance. Receive that potential. Just download it right now. From here. Get it. Put your ego aside and think what you need to do to survive, what you need to do to move things forward. Just trust that El Shaddai, God of my breast. Heart space awareness. That's what it is. That's why they were so prosperous, man. And the last thing that the kingdom of darkness wants us to be is prosperous. So, if you like your poverty gospel, I don't, and I don't see why we should be moving forward in a poverty mindset. Source is infinite. When you look at how many apples one tree produces, that's what we're moving into. Anyway, that was a bit of a segue, but still talking about Yahweh and justice. So, man, receive your potential right now. Like, I decree this kind of stuff over all of my subscribers every single day. I figured, why not just do it live? Why not just do it live? So receive it right now. Receive it right now. Receive it right now. With that, I'm going to close the episode out. The blast of the sound of victory. We're going to bring those walls of Jericho down, guys. They're already crumbling. They're already crumbling. We're on the final laps. The final day laps, okay? So we got this. We got this. Shalom, my friends. Shalom.